Probably very limited numbers here. Give it a minute.
Joke's on you. There's thousands of people tuned in
waiting
immediately.
There we go. Sounds good. Coming through your radio.
Great.
Yeah.
Coming through my
That's how
truck.
we'll test it out. Uh-oh.
Bet.
Over here?
Really?
There we go.
Perfect. Yes.
Look at you right here. I knew it. All right, we'll give it a couple minutes to let people pour in here.
Hop
from
on
the
in.
Pink
We're
Seats
talking
podcast. Spring ball. We'll give it a second. Here comes an airplane. Everybody cover your ears.
This is why you need to staple things, Jacob. Jacob put these rosters out on Twitter. He was so proud of himself. But in the football world, we would have to give him a tick.
Yeah, because it didn't get
Because he
stapled.
didn't staple it.
Didn't staple it. Man.
That's something I definitely would have did whenever I was working on it. What's that?
Yeah.
They're like, here you go. I got your rosters.
All right. Well, it says on the show, welcome to our live show. That's the description of the title. I tried to change it, but it clearly didn't. It did not go over to the internet.
Welcome to our live show.
It just says welcome to our live show. So welcome to our live show from the Pink Seats podcast for the first time live outside of Cardinal Stadium here. It is a beautiful day, folks. It is football for one day in the spring. This is like the equivalent of Christmas in July, I would say, for the three of us. Jacob Lane, if you don't know me, State of Louisville from the Pink Seats podcast host. I am standing because I'm a shorty, right? I'm a short king. And
no, you're doing the Lord's work. You know, I've had two.
Yes, our handicapped friend here. Our handicapped friend, Vince Lococo, sitting down to my left here. We're going to get to Vince because it's been a very interesting week for Vince for a couple of reasons. Some not great, some great. Been around the football program this week.
Yeah.
We'll come to you in a little bit to share what you can and what you will share. Obviously, not going to give away all the company secrets. Producer Keith is also in a chair.
That's me. And these are my chairs, so I get a chair. They're mine.
Yeah. He said, Jacob, you get no chairs. You will stand.
You had a chair.
I offered you a chair.
You had a chair.
I offered you a frame of a chair.
Yeah.
I can sit here in this frame of a chair, folks, and it will look as if I'm levitating for the entire show. So here we go from the Pink Seats podcast. As I mentioned, man, it is a beautiful day for football. If you listen to the show, you know we've been covering spring football like it is the only football that's around because it is outside of the UFL at this point. But we're here today, the last day of football, if you will, until the team goes to camp and reports sometime in August. So today we're going to get a really, really good idea, or at least some idea, of what this Louisville football team is all about. And there's a lot of changes that have undergone, that the program has undergone this offseason.
Yeah, a whole lot of changes. Of course, starting at the top, I mean, it's the sexy thing everyone wants to know. How does Miller Moss look on the offense? He's the big transfer portal star ad, QB1, gets all the headlines. So, Vince, you had the opportunity to do a little bit of an exclusive thing, so I don't know what you can and what you can't talk about, but the staff, very confident in Miller Moss.
Yeah, do we want to... I'll start off with what I'm saying with, I can't do a football show without talking about losing PJ Blue this week. I mean, it was an incredibly tough week for our entire class and anybody that really played with PJ. I mean, it's hard to put into words.
Yeah.
You don't really, just can't really fathom it. But yeah, he's definitely going to be missed. It's tough scrolling past, your buddy's name in your phone. You can't text or call him anymore. But no, he's in a better spot mentally now, and it's just like you put your faith in the right places, and it's tough.
Yeah.
But the bright spot is I'm here on Friday watching football, and I mean the sun is out. I like to think PJ had some part in making sure the skies were blue today. So for me, I'm in a good spot. But Thursday we got to go, and the alumni Jeff and Greg are so generous and have all the alumni come back that are in town or in the surrounding area just to watch the film and hang out and cut up in the team room. And man, I couldn't be more excited for Miller Moss. You guys know, if you listen, I mean, if anybody's listened to the show, I've been number 2 probably, tied number 1.
1A.
Yeah, 1A on Iffy, but leaving that, I'm so confident in him, his knowledge about football, how he is in the meeting room, blowing up Brian about I want to meet individually, and he's taking this last year really how you would expect a transfer quarterback to, as it being, almost like a step in the professional route. So I'm very excited to see what he can do on the field today.
Yeah, I think that's the number one thing that as folks come down here today to check this team out, whether you've been, tapped into the program through the spring or whether or not you didn't, you haven't seen what they've been doing or what they've been up to since the bowl game, right? I think everyone today knows that Tyler Shuck is not the quarterback anymore, and it's a new day in Louisville football, right? So
you look just like that's the same look Bobby Petrino used to give us in the middle of a fall camp practice.
Weren't you supposed to call UPS and ask them to ground the planes?
That is not my job.
Okay, that's not your job.
See, now I think we need to get some sort of agreement in place. So, like, you know how third down you're supposed to artificially get the stadium loud, like
UPS plane fly
just
over?
UPS plane fly over every third down when we're on defense would be an elite crowd noise enhancement.
You got somebody from Cardinal Stadium whose job is to phone it in. Folks, it's first down here. They ran the ball 3 yards. Get ready for third down here. Get ready for third down.
Your playbook. You're
set
too.
So, anyways, we talked about Miller Moss. Miller Moss is obviously just like Tyler Shuck last year, kind of the number one thing that folks are really looking forward to. But for me, as somebody that has been following this extremely close throughout the offseason, I feel confident in Jeff Brom and his ability to find the right quarterback, bring him in, build a system that, and not even build a system, but tailor the system that's in place to fit Miller's strengths. But for me, guys, what I'm really most curious about today is this defense. I really want to see what we're going to expect for life post Quincy Riley and Ashton Gelati. I mean, they are kind of the era of guys, or the wave of guys that feel like they've been here for 4 or 5 years, and it's a new day without them moving forward, right? You don't have that star power anymore on defense, at least yet, and I like that because I think that tonight you want guys that are going to be looking to kind of become that guy, right? I'm like, for me, guys, I'm looking for Antonio Watts tonight to put on a show, to show that he is the guy. Darius Thomas is on his heels. We're going to talk about some of the position battles, I'm sure, but like a guy like that who just pops on film. He had a great closeout to the season, obviously making the game-winning bat down against Washington on the 2-point conversion. So for me, I'm excited to see what guys are going to step into those shoes of Ashton and Quincy.
See, this is where having that, Greg, Jeff, you're awesome for letting us come and do this on Thursday. I'm gonna go with Micah Carter based off of what I heard on Thursday, and from what I saw on the film room, I'm very excited to see what that kid can do. A local product out of old St. X down the road.
Your favorite team.
Yeah, my favorite. Crazy, but regardless, I love good football players, and that kid's a damn good ball player, and I'm very excited to see what he can do with that size, that speed off the edge. I think he can fill an Ashton role just fine. And, I'm excited to see the back end too, with these guys. Little Jaden Minkins, man, he's going to be one
He's
of
really
watch out for Jaden Minkins during this spring.
Okay, I love that. Shout out to the Minkins family.
I'm telling you,
friends of the show. Yeah. Shout out to Jaden. Been putting in the work for the last couple of years. Are you sweating a little bit? Is the sun getting you?
It feels
good, man.
I've got a little barricade
that's
now.
What happens when you're over 200 pounds, Jacob.
Is it? I mean, hold on now.
Eat a steak every once in a while.
I am definitely over 200 pounds, and by technicalities, I am obese. So
I wish it was, a little bit of glaze. I wish it was a little bit warmer to encourage more people to get out here, but the weather. I mean, it has in the last 5 to 10 seconds.
Look at the shot right here that we're looking at. The blue skies
turn.
Look at this. This is
football weather.
If you have the opportunity. Now, I know some people, hopefully you're tuning in, you're slacking off at work because screw the man. You are your own person. It's Friday.
Get out of there. It's 4:37. What are you getting done? What are you getting done for the next 23 minutes? Nothing.
It's literally free.
Nothing.
Free parking, free admission. Like, no reason not to swing by. And you know what? I won't even judge you if you just want to watch the starters in the first half and then take off, get a little view of the team. I hope you'll stay the whole game.
Yes.
But I won't judge you.
Because Keith wants you to watch Dylan Messman. But speaking of the game, what's the format? What's the format tonight?
So my understanding is that it's going to be like full-blown traditional scrimmage, like regular old spring game, regular clock, like regular football. The first half, running clock, get the game along here in the second half, just try to keep people. And my understanding is that it's going to be going to the thump. We're not going to be seeing full tackle because if we were going full-blown tackle, I'd probably be clamoring for someone's head here because I don't want Isaac Brown or Duke Watson getting hurt.
As much as I would love to see those boys, do what they do best at full speed, let's save it for the fall and, we can get enough a tickle.
Get him, 3-4 carries each. Get him out of there, man.
Exactly.
Let's see a little bit of
a guy like Keywan Brown today.
Yes, Keywan Brown.
I'm very excited to see him.
And then also, if you look down your handy-dandy roster here, in which I provided you, if you go to that page with the newcomers, there's a guy on the offensive side of the ball that comes in. He's the 4th-string running back. But we have seen what 4th-string freshman running back can be in Louisville's offense, right? So that is, how do you say it? Jamaris Wilder was a JMU commit, decommitted, signed with Louisville, enrolled early, and by all accounts, he's been a guy that, they have felt comfortable with. Obviously, he's a freshman, but you're going to see him tonight.
He's solid. Shifty kid, runs very solid. Like, when you watch him run, if you're a fan of the NFL and you've watched Isaiah Pacheco, that's what he looks like running the ball.
Yeah, you couldn't have said it more perfectly. I mean, he is stomping holes into the ground. But, I'm very excited to see all these newcomers. There's plenty of people. I mean, Micah Carter's probably number 1 on my list for the newcomers that I'm excited to see, just based off of, if anybody goes to East Florida and J-Town, that's where their family works out. So you can literally watch their family.
Micah Rice. Okay, I was going to say.
Yeah, I mean, we were just texting about how many Jeffs we had on campus and the problems we were having with that.
Right.
Way too many Micahs.
Right. Too many Micahs. But we're excited for both Micahs. We think both Micahs on defense can be, formidable players. And I think that, again, when you talk about tonight, you talk about Miller Moss being kind of the star of the show. You talk about the defense. Obviously, you know what you're going to get out of Isaac Brown. You want to see him in that number 1, right? Wearing the number 1 this year.
Yeah.
And then you're going to see Duke Watson and Keywan Brown, and but also the wide receivers. I mean, this is a group that, for the most part, they made very few additions this offseason. TJ McWilliams and Bobby Golden are really the only 2 guys that come in. Bobby Golden really going to be more of a kickoff return specialist than he is a receiver, at least that we know of. Maybe that changes and we see that tonight. But this wide receiver group, I've heard a lot of great things about Antonio Meeks during spring camp. I've heard some good things about TJ McWilliams, the Purdue transfer, redshirt freshman.
Minnesota.
Minnesota. Thank you. Yeah. But so
you can edit that, right?
Yeah, we can edit that. Right. We're not live, right?
It's Big Ten schools. They're all the same.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Right. 5 and 7 schools. Okay. So there's new pieces that you want to see on the offense at the wide receiver position get involved. And look, I love that Deion Branch said this week in his press conference that he believes he has the best duo in America in Chris Bell and Colin Lacey. That obviously remains to be seen. I love the confidence. The data is not quite there yet. So
data's not there.
Deion's seeing something we're not seeing, and hopefully we see that tonight.
Go ahead.
As someone who was at spring ball, and Vince, I think you're going to go down the same lane.
Yeah.
Chris Bell was making some grown-ass man plays. And now, in spring practice, you can't do much. Yeah, with tackling and things like that, yeah. But coverage, that's the same wherever you go.
Yeah.
Chris Bell, holy shit. He looks like he's making the next step to go from a good to an elite, or at least to a great receiver. I'm really excited to see what he does tonight.
Thursday, this is something that I'm comfortable sharing. Deion called him a walking first-round draft pick.
I agree.
Chris Bell.
Yeah.
Like, size-wise, speed-wise, the kid is hands down a walking first. That's the same thing we would used to say about Justin Marshall all the time. Mm-hmm. Like perfect size, perfect speed. Like, can the kid just put it all together? And I think Chris has an advantage over any of those guys because he's working with Deion.
Yeah,
and
I agree. And there's continuity there too. On top of that,
exactly.
Right? And a great finish to last year. Really, showed at the end of the year that he could be a number 1. I mean, I know obviously you had Ja'Cory Brooks, but Chris Bell I believe he was the leading receiver in the final 3 or 4 games of the season. So you're talking about a guy that showed that when the coverage was elsewhere, he could make a play. And now this year it's going to be on him. It's going to be on Lacey, and we don't know really what we're getting with Lacey yet from a large sample size, obviously. We love what we saw in the bowl game.
And that's what was going to sort of pirouette elegantly into, was that we finally get the Colin Lacey experience.
Right.
Fingers crossed we don't have an unfortunate injury like we did in training camp last year. We get to see Colin Lacey healthy out there on the field making plays. He's looked damn good in the spring practice.
The thing I love about this offense the most is the fact that Coach Braun truly gives these wide receivers a lot of freedom to go and make a play. They have one specific call in there. Won't say what it is. It's a specific call they have for a post, and we had it in Sat's offense as well. That's the touchdown you'd see Tutu score all the time on that deep post, deep over. What's very similar in Jeff's offense, and I just love that freedom with the skill that we have in seeing Chris Bell and Lacey potentially being in the slot of running that specific play.
Right.
And man, it's just being able to. You don't ever want your players to be robots.
Right.
Don't ever run the lines, is what they tell you in the wide receiver room.
Read it.
Exactly.
React to it.
You have to be an athlete. You have to be able to make decisions on the fly. And I think having Dion there is slowing the game down for these guys to a new level that they didn't know the game was capable of being slowed down to.
Yeah, and the wide receiver room is going to be obviously the utmost importance for Jeff. I think he is going to have a stronger tight end room, which we'll get to in a second. But wide receivers, you can't wait. I see you over here. You sure you don't want to talk about that now? Right now? Dylan Messman, you said? But we'll get into that in a second. But I think the wide receivers are going to be, outside of maybe the secondary, the most important group to this team. The team that I think it's a group that you don't necessarily, outside of the top two, really feel confident in yet, know enough about. Obviously you feel like there's pieces there, but look, you lost Blue Hicks, right? You lost, Jacory goes pro. You lost some of the other guys on the team last year. You do bring back Lacey, but the other guys that are going to step into roles this year didn't play a lot last year.
Well, now that's sort of the thing, and he sort of falls by the wayside because he got banged up at the end of spring practice, so I don't know if we're going to see him tonight. Chris Hughes, a walk-on, stepped up and was huge near the end of last season. He played a huge role. And
I told you guys last year, if you want a big third down conversion, you know what you do? You throw the ball to Chris Hughes. That's just third down plus Chris Hughes equals conversion. That's the way that I look at that equation, right? But you're right. He's a guy that you expect to take. He could be a Jalen Carter to this team, like Jalen Carter was back in, what was that, 2021, 2022? Right? Was a guy local guy, walk on to start his career, and then found his role as kind of that deep ball, throw it up and I'm going to go get it type of guy.
My thing is, we talked about Miller and what we're really excited for. I'm excited to see his brains on full display with this offense, with everything, not everything, quote unquote. I mean, I'm sure there are wrinkles and things like that they put in week to week that they haven't installed yet. But the base offense being installed with how smart that kid is, I'm so excited to see the checks that he makes with the wide receivers.
Yeah.
Because that's all repetition. That's all how much work we've done in the indoor, things like that. And the clip we saw on Thursday was, it's hilarious. I'm comfortable telling this one because it's such a great story. It's Miller playing at USC, obviously played our defense. Threw for 300-something yards.
What, like 5 touchdowns? 6 touchdowns or something like that?
Yeah. Didn't have to remind us of that, but okay.
They're in the red zone and during one of the first couple practices, and Chris Bell's in the slot, and Miller looks over to Chris and checks to the fade. That's not an offense yet. At all. And sure enough, Miller just remembered that from the USC game that they won a lot on that route against Louisville. And we score a touchdown. Back shoulder fade in the red zone to Chris Bell. It's like, I'm so confident that this kid's just going to run the offense. He's not going to be the athlete that Tyler is, where he's running against Notre Dame. I know he fumbled, but like that long run against Notre Dame, flipping into the end zone. Yeah. I don't think we'll see that from Miller Moss, but I think we will see this offense ran to the most efficient we have seen since Jefferson.
Yeah.
So we're on the quarterback topic right now, and it's not necessarily sexy, but yes, Miller Moss brings that sort of cerebral asset to the offense where he's going to make the right read, he's going to make the right throw. When it comes to the gun show, the big arms that people are going to come on and see and wow, and Vince, you had a chance to make it out to a couple spring practices with me. Brady Allen and Deuce Adams both slinging it.
Yeah.
Deuce has a lot of pop in his arm his release is quick and that ball comes out fast. So I'm very excited to see spring game. Obviously, you have repercussions of, you might have to run on whatever tomorrow, the next day, shoot out in the film room, but I would try to fit balls into tight windows. I would test it as much as I possibly can right now.
I was listening to Mark Ennis on the way in, and he was talking about how last year, right, going into spring, everybody wanted to see like what Tyler Shuck was. He came in with a lot of unsure, in terms of his health and in terms of what he can be because he had not played a lot. And then the first play of spring ball last year, they call a play call and Tyler throws a ball into a tight ass window and completes it, right? So I think that you're going to see the same type of thing tonight with Miller, right? You want, like, as much as you want to hide what you're doing, you also want to challenge your guys. Like, how much have you retained? How much have you grown? Can you do this play as if it is a real game?
Right.
And yeah, it's spring, and yes, it doesn't count, but can you go out there and essentially carry yourself like you would on a Saturday game?
Well, see, I think that's part of the freeing thing is that it's spring. Like, at the end of the day, throw an interception. It doesn't really matter. I think that opens up some opportunities for some real, oh shit, kind of plays.
Right. And look, this is the thing with spring football, right? Like, if Miller goes out tonight and he throws 5 touchdowns, everyone's going to say, well, shit, the secondary sucks.
There will be an on-3 graphic.
Right. The secondary down, right? Or, so there will be some kind of commentary. And if it goes the other way and he doesn't throw but 1 touchdown and he throws 3 picks, oh my God, Miller Moss is terrible. Are we sure it's not a Deuce Adams thing?
That's what sucks about going inter-squad, man.
Right. That's why we need the Fran Brown, Deion Sanders spring game,
I don't know if I'm for that.
Look, at this point, here's the thing with the NCAA. It's kind of a side changer, but with NIL and eligibility, you got the guy from Charleston College that is trying to sue the NCAA for being a D2 player. At this point, here's my thought. Just show the fuck up and play. What are they going to do?
Yeah.
They're going to tell you no?
That's what Tyler Sharp should have did.
Right. Show up and just check in.
He should have just went and checked in. Yeah.
Show up, check in.
I always think about him, man, because he was always the one that got screwed on eligibility.
It happens time.
Yes. Like candy right now.
So, it's one of those things where tonight, it's really easy to draw narratives. It's really easy to feel as if one group outperformed, but at the same time, it's freeing. You want guys to be able to play free, but also, like, I don't want Miller coming out here tonight and throwing 4 picks. Well, I want to be confident that I have a guy that's going to go out and be a top 15 quarterback in the country
I'm sure
this year.
He's going to start 1s on 2s. That's usually how they start things like these.
That's bullshit. Why are we not starting 1-on-1?
I think we'll get some one-on-one segment.
To eliminate that conversation.
just to give him some easy reps.
No, I mean, to eliminate
Lococo out there, linebacker.
Wow.
Look,
the defense looked great right here on the first couple drives. They were going against the 2s, but they looked great. The offense looked awesome. They were going against the 2s.
Here's the point I would argue, though, at least on the defensive side of the ball, the 2s are going to be rotating in. We're going to get game time with those guys.
And the 2s are good.
Our 2s
the 2s are 1s.
Especially in our front 7. Holy shit, our 2s ain't nothing to mess with.
Right. The 2s are not bad. Yeah. They're not bad. All right, let's transition a little bit. We talked about the offense, and I want to continue the conversation into the beefy boys. Offensive line, tight end. This is a group where the tight end has not been utilized the way that Jeff Brom has typically utilized tight ends. You go into the portal this offseason, you miss on Ryan Clare, who goes to Ohio State, right? And you don't necessarily bring in a tight end from your recruiting class that you feel confident can be out there on day one as a pass catcher. But you do have some guys returning. You have Nate Koreski, who is going to be the probably penciled in day 1 starter. You have Jaleel Skinner. I'm a little burpy. I'm sorry. The Blue Moon's getting me. You have Jaleel Skinner, who portaled and came back. Obviously, sees some form of role for himself, or the team feels some kind of role is there for him. You have Dylan Messman. You got
maybe
some
not tonight.
Yeah. Well,
maybe not tonight.
But in general, and just that room. So tonight we're going to see, maybe a couple of guys banged up, but that gives you the opportunity to see what those walk-ons can do, to where a Francis Sherman can evolve, or a Josh Lifson can emerge, right? Like somebody that can be a playmaker for you.
I'm just excited to see the improvements that Nate's made throughout. I mean, he's been here a while. At this point, there are improvements that we should be seeing, regardless of how you started or whatever you are. You played a shit ton last year. We should see improvements from what you did last year to the spring. So that's really what you're going to have to look for.
He's been someone who's really been underappreciated because he's been so rock steady. Yeah. What's he, like a redshirt junior, redshirt sophomore?
Let me look at the sheet that Jacob put together.
I put mine in my pocket.
6'3", 240, redshirt junior.
Okay.
Redshirt junior. So theoretically,
DZ.
We got 2 more years
Mr.
of the
SID.
here, but
got some typos in there.
DC.
okay, all right.
We know I can't read.
Okay, all right. Never mind. Sorry, Vince's reading error.
Nate Koreski has been nothing but consistent the last year
plus.
When they've thrown him the ball. He's been fantastic, and I'm excited now that barring something crazy happening in the next couple of weeks when the transfer portal opens back up, like he's coming into the season tight end number 1.
Yep.
And we got a couple of really good. We got a redshirt freshman in Dylan Messman, banged up in spring ball. We got true freshman Grant Hauser, banged up in spring ball. So it's been him, Jaleel Skinner, and I think it's Harrison Atkins. I can't remember his first name off the top of my head. I was cocky going into this. I did not have my roster on hand, so this is my hubris coming back to get me. I know his last name's Atkins. Well, he's a walk-on.
You expect that confidence from Nate of being a guy last year, essentially being a starter and essentially being thrust into the starting role right now. So you would expect him, they say it all the time in the UFC, the champion gets better, 10% better whenever, a guy gets 10% better every time he becomes the champion.
Yeah.
Same thing kind of happens in football. That confidence of being a starter, playing a ton comes into play, a little bit of swagger, and I would not be surprised to see Nate make some plays.
Yeah, I think that you need him to become a consistent threat offensively, especially because, this is really diving into the weeds, but like you don't really know what you're going to get at H-back with post Dwayne Martin, and so your blocking sacrifices a little bit.
Atkins was getting the reps in spring ball. Walk on. I think he's redshirt freshman. Walk on.
Eligibility as long as we can do podcasting and football at the same time.
Look, hey, at this day and age, man, you might make $1 million doing that.
Kidding.
Seriously, man. The official walk-on podcast hosted by Vincent Lococo. That's what we're talking about here with NIL, but. I think tonight the tight ends will be, obviously some of you want to watch them as a group and you want to see that group take a step forward. But if there's one group that anybody is watching closely tonight, it is our friend Keith Arutoff with the offensive line. This group brings back a lot of football experience. You have Trevante Sylvester, who really finished strong last year. You bring back Austin Collins and Pete Nigra to shore up your right side and center of the offensive line. You obviously are going to be kind of trying to figure out what you're doing at right tackle this year. You had Jonathan Mendoza there last year. You played Rasheed Miller there a little bit. What are they going to do at that spot? What are they going to do at left guard? We've seen some different starting groups out there. What have you seen that you've liked so far?
Before you get going, Keith, let me ask you an offensive line question. It's thud out here, like they said. Is it possible for the offensive line, the defensive line to thud?
No.
Okay, all right.
No.
So we're going to be seeing some full-blown, full-go offensive line, defensive line.
Let me just get into offensive lineman brain here. The defensive line, talking shit all of spring ball. And you're doing drills. And you're in shorts and T-shirts. And they're winning one-on-ones because it's designed for them to win in shorts and T-shirts. You're sick of hearing it, so you finally get some pads on. You get to make some contact, and there's already been some banter back and forth.
Oh, yeah.
One of Jacob's guys, Cleb Lubin and Rasheed Miller, have been going at it in the open spring practices, and as an observer, it's been hilarious.
That's one thing I think is underappreciated about transfers, is like they're coming in here, they have their personality, their edge, and they come in and, Rasheed Miller's probably like, fuck you, dude. Who are you? And Cleb Lubin's like, bro, I'm a boss. I'm a baller. Get ready to learn my name. And he was like, bro, where have you been? Where'd you play? He's like, Coastal Carolina. Fuck you. That's it. That's how that goes.
It's, seeing the battles up front, of course, like how you had, Keith, it's pretty insane. Those guys, there is no, pads can be off, pads can be on. You can't half-ass simulate offensive line defense.
Right. No.
You just can't do it.
Like, the level of competition is always going to be there. Shit. Early on in the spring, we had a player, Pete Nigra, who I'm so high on coming into this year, get his forehead split open because they take their helmets off to sort of disincentivize contact. O-line and D-line ain't slowing down. They're still fucking going.
How do you expect me to get my head across?
Well, the wild thing is it was a passing down, I think, when it happened.
Yeah,
so,
I can see that.
But, no, and it's wild. In the O-line, they've got a couple of expected starters banged up. Collins, Sylvester, a little banged up, so we've seen some other players rotate in. Mac Pounders has really been impressive, stepping into that tackle role. You can tell, oh, this guy's got SEC experience. You can, because he's just massive.
You can tell. I remember whenever we went to the bowl game, my freshman year against LSU, And like the first time being around like an SEC offensive lineman, I was like, holy.
These dudes are built different. There's levels to this.
A little bit different than Lucas sitting over here. That's also projected to be our tackle. Our Lucas was projected to be a starting guard.
Yeah.
And there's, that's the side difference.
But go on, like, we're missing a couple of starters, and yet, at least in the open spring practices, the offensive line, they haven't been a liability. Like, they've been battling. And this is a defensive front seven. I'll talk about, like, we're going to have one of the best and one of the deepest front sevens in the country.
Right.
Like, we are stupid good on the defense.
But, transitioning into talking about them, the key this year is going to be the production. And you got a lot of guys, a lot of depth, but can you make the sacks? Can you get the TFLs? Can you, if you're not getting those, can you free up space for a linebacker to make those? I think that this year, post Ashton Gelati, where there's not somebody that you have to really like cue in on, throw a chip block on with a tight end, double team, that it's going to be up to these guys to really step up and take a step in their development.
Let me ask you guys, who are you most excited to see on the defensive line today? For me, it's personally Salon Brown.
Yeah.
Being injured all last year.
So good
yes, the spring practice that we went to, he looked great.
See me or Leo?
No. Interior. He's just a menace on the interior.
Before he got hurt last year, he was playing Leo.
Even Thursday, whenever we went, there were defensive highlights where you could see Salon doing phenomenal work. So, I love the local talent there.
Of course.
I mean, Micah Carter, Selah,
Wu Spencer.
Yeah.
We don't want to see these.
My only complaint is, Jeff, we need to get more Trinity kids in here, but I'll root for them all regardless.
So, on the defensive side, it's going to be really one of those years where, is this the year where AJ Green finally makes that next step up, where he becomes that elite edge rusher? And I mean, he's been the starter in spring practice. Like, he's ahead of Clev Lubin on the depth chart. Like, he's been, and then on the other side of the line, you have Wes Bailey, who, and I will forever apologize to Renee Conga. Like, I was not familiar with his game coming into Louisville last year. I expected him just to be a depth piece, and he ended up being a key contributor. The same thing with Wes Bailey coming in. Like, he just sounds different.
Adonijah, right? That's your. I had to start looking through the depth chart when you said
AJ Green. Who is that?
That's a new one. That's a new one. But I'm excited to see him drop back at the same time.
Yeah.
We saw a little bit of that Thursday just based off of the position and what they were showing us. He dropped back into coverage and looked great. I mean, the kid is an athlete. As long as he is, he can cover a lot. I'm not saying let's drop him back into 4 deep or anything like that, but I'm more than comfortable of showing blitz, backing him off to drop into coverage, things like that. The kid's an athlete. He's long as shit. They call him Sticks for a reason.
6'6", 250. I mean, that you don't.
And he came in at 6'6". When we saw him at
6'6", like 210.
I remember going to Kern's Corner with him and Stan Kwan and a bunch of the other freshmen that came in that Flyville 25 class. And seeing Adonijah walk in and being like, oh my God, he's about 205 right now.
Yeah.
But let the kid get up to 250, 260, and we'll see.
Yeah. And I think there's another guy on this roster who fits the same bill. And when you talk about freshmen, there's not a lot of them this year, but they are guys that can potentially come in and steal some reps. And I'm really excited to see CJ May. I think he's a guy that on that edge could potentially become a specialist, somebody that you put out there on, a third down or, when you're trying to kind of get some rest to AJ Green or to, whether it's...
a stick? Is that a thing? Are we doing that?
I think I'm going to have to, because I pronounce AJ Green a lot better than I can pronounce Adonijah. So, does he go by that? Is that like a thing that he says?
So I've seen Sticks, I've seen AJ.
I get Sticks. AJ Green, I'm like, I was about to look at wide receivers.
So, the defensive line, it has so many pieces. I mean, from the transfers to Jerry Lawson to Wes Bailey to Clev Lubin, and they lost Damon Clowney, and still, you don't feel that.
Yeah. Well, if we're talking defense, for me,
before we transition off of the edge rushers, look, sacks are the sexy stat. That's the one that gets. A freshman that's really made an impression with me in the run game, Eric Hazard, out of Tennessee, he has been a physical specimen on the front. Like, I would not be shocked to see him and May both get reps and not use a red shirt this year.
I agree, but I also disagree because, like, you look at what you saw last year out of Mo Davis and Trent Carter in spring. They both looked really good.
But they played to play too.
Yeah, but they played very little throughout the season, right? So, like, you got them out there situationally. I don't know if Trent Carter ever played on, and maybe backup moments against the blowouts. But
I don't think we got Trent Carter, but he's more of a interior backer anyway.
My point being, like with Eric Hazard, like he's got 15 dudes in front of him. It's going to be really hard for him to find playing time during the season. But tonight, like, I don't need to see Renee Conga. I don't need to see, some of the other pieces on the interior because they've proven what they can do.
That's why I was getting ready to shift to the guys right behind that linebacker.
Yeah.
Inside linebacker specifically.
We're so deep.
I need to see TJ Capers do something like this.
He's been fantastic in the open practices.
Then we got another number shift there.
I want to see him be able to read, evaluate a hole, and go. Pull the trigger. I don't want to see him over pursuing, specifically on the inside zone whenever they're pulling, inside zone and when they pull, outside zone. Like, I just don't want to see him over pursuing. I want to see him slow play, see a gap, go. And if you guys remember Monty Montgomery, he never took on a block. Never. You never saw Monty strike with two hands. Monty was always, this is perfect for being on video, man. This is great.
Throwing your hands?
Illustrate things now? Yeah, Monty would never shoot his hands like this. He'd always dip under the shoulder like that. So I need TJ to kind of use his speed, use your athleticism within the defense, and go make plays. I need to see open field tackles, TFLs. The kids should be looking at this spring game like this is my coming out party.
Yeah. I agree.
Just quick side note, while we're on the topic of being on video, shout out to T-Do913 hopping in on the Twitter comments, and then I also want to give a shout out to the YouTube commenters as well.
Let's go.
Get in here, hop in, let us know. What are you looking forward to seeing? Who are you most concerned about? Who are you most excited about? Are you making it out to the spring game? Get out here. So shout out to Darren Cole, who's apparently across the pond. So shout out to you out in Jolio, England. And that's the only country that's across the pond because, Scotland, Switzerland, Scandinavia.
He's listening from where?
He said across the pond.
It's probably Indiana.
No, I know Darren. Darren is definitely in England. That's across the pond guy.
Oh.
Yeah.
FNB Kwan also.
And he's tea in the river for me.
And he's also telling us now that Meeks is going to be the standout of the game.
I'm kidding.
So Antonio Meeks getting some love from FNB Kwan, and then Tim Hollins also agreeing with us on our assessment of Adonijah Green when he came in, how he needed to put on some weight. He's put on the weight.
Yeah.
And he looks damn good
now. The thing they look at with guys like Green is the shoulder width. I mean, and if he's got wide shoulders, we know his frame is capable of putting on that type of weight. And the kid can barely fit through a damn door frame.
Yeah, right. Those shoulders, right.
He is your prototypical. If I could create a D-end on college football.
Right. 6'6", 250.
250.
We're talking about, we got perfect. That swim move off the edge, that the spin. Give me all of the athleticism.
Just the spin and the athleticism. Keith, being an offensive line guy, a lot of times it's the reach and getting that first initial strike on the guy. And for him to be able to long arm somebody with that inside arm and get that peck and then dip the shoulder, that's really what you're going to be seeing out of this guy.
I fucking hated blocking guys with arms that were way longer than mine.
I'm 5'10" and had to block John Bernard on a daily basis. How do you think I feel?
Yeah. So that's a massive tool that he has available to him.
Yeah.
That I really hope that his growth and development as a player he's able to utilize more, because God, I would have killed for just 2 inches more on my arms. And that's
I think we can all use
the end
2
of the
more inches.
That most of you would say.
I mean, I think we could all benefit from 2 more inches. I don't think anybody would turn that down.
I was still the guy that was praying to God in college. So can I just grow another inch? Just one?
Right. Yeah, I mean,
hey man,
guys
block.
like that are built to play football, and he's the guy that he's the guy that comes off the bus first, right? You want to intimidate folks with the guy that looks like that. So it's going to be interesting tonight. I can't emphasize enough how important it is for this group to step into those roles, because you're losing, not necessarily at the Leo position, but at the other defensive end, Ashton. What he provided to you is invaluable. You need a guy tonight to step in and own that stardom, or multiple guys. It doesn't have to be one guy. It can be 3 or 4 rotation, by committee type of approach for the linebackers as well as the defensive line. And when you talk about the linebackers, you talk about, we don't need to see TJ Quinn tonight. Like, we know what he can do. We know what he is. Tonight's about the TJ Capers. I would love to see what Caleb Perry will bring to this defense, transferring in from Tennessee, providing them with hopefully something that last year they just didn't have with Keith Brown with Dan Foster and some of the other inside linebackers. So this tonight, you want to see guys like him step up. Trent Carter was a guy that popped last year in spring. Tonight, can he step up? Can he show you that he's worth getting some snaps? Because you really just want to push that top group. They are good, but not great. So you need Stan Kwan to obviously step into that greatness role. Maybe he is the star of this defense. You need TJ to continue to be consistent, but also you can't be a weak spot in this defense. Last year, TJ Quinn at times was a weak spot. So tonight, you need TJ. Again, I say you need TJ, but you don't. Spring ball isn't for him.
And when you're watching the linebackers today, pay attention to their depth. They're going to be at a different depth than what they were last year. And I really believe that's going to help with all the coverage issues that we saw. Coach English wasn't hiding the fact all last year that they installed too much too quickly.
Yeah.
So I think they've had 2 years. The first year they got it, second year they didn't, so they're shooting 50% from the free throw line right now.
Look, best of 3.
So, best of 3.
Thirds and times a charm.
Exactly. So I'm very confident that Coach English, hearing his passion, hearing just how he coaches live and in person, I'm like, there's no way these guys, if he installs it correctly, if everything goes correctly in the coach's office, there should be no issues. That's what I love the most about Thursday is Coach English even doubled down on owning the mistakes and owning the issues that went on with the defense.
And now, one of the beautiful things about spring ball, while we're talking about the linebacker core, we don't just get to see those top 4 guys. Now, Stan Kwan, banged up, probably not going to see him, but, Quinn, Capers, Caleb Perry. We're going to get to see guys like Trent Carter, Caleb Matlow, Cam White, who was also making some plays in spring ball. Like, we have a really deep and exciting linebacking core.
Yeah.
Like, especially since if we're not counting the star, which maybe additional question, do you consider the star more linebacker or secondary?
Well, Court Davison would say linebacker, so I'm going to go with linebacker in case he sees this and he calls me and says, why are you calling outside linebackers? Outside linebackers.
That's a defensive back. Antonio Watts is not a linebacker.
Which meeting room did you think Rajay Burns and Jack Fago went to?
See, I would think Jack Fago would go to like the safeties, D-back.
You consider all those guys linebackers.
Yeah, but I guess it's that's a good point because I was going to say I guess it's the scheme, but it's the same thing.
The funny thing about guys like that, the coverage guys, is whenever they're doing one-on-one pass rush, they'll send the other end down to pass rush, and then while that's going on, 7-on-7's happening with the back end, they stay with 7-on-7.
Yeah.
So that's what, like, if you're doing 7-on-7s instead of doing 1-on-1s, you're a D-back. That's how now, maybe it's because, ex-fat, I'm still a fat guy, but ex-offensive lineman ideology. But it's a weird one. But so if we're just considering the 2 interiors, we've got a solid almost 4 deep of linebackers that I would trust to get out and make plays in a game.
Yeah. I'm comfortable. I just need to see them like today.
Yeah.
I need to see them go out today and play very fundamentally sound football. Like I said, slow play stuff. Don't be afraid to shoot gaps. See a hole, take a hole. Simple stuff like that.
Yeah.
Simple linebacking stuff that should be done. And, the communication errors and everything should not happen in a spring game.
That's right. Yeah. All right, let's reset here from the Pink Seats podcast. Jacob Lane.
That's us.
Vince Lococo to my left. Producer Keith to my right. We are out here at L&N Stadium out on Floyd Street getting ready for the spring game. What?
The impulsive thoughts. I almost went and picked up our camera and just turned it around at the stadium.
That would have been. That probably would have been the end of the broadcast.
Yeah,
the way that we've jerry-rigged this setup, it certainly would not have outlasted
What are
that.
you talking about? We are
You have to be happy,
exceptionally
though,
professional.
That I got the Busch Light case.
Yeah, look, this is the versatility of
with
Busch Light.
designs
Yeah, man, and look, it's holding the laptop up. We're out here, we're live, and we're getting ready for a spring game, 6 o'clock. If you're watching this right now and you're not coming out here, I understand, but you should, because it's a beautiful night. We're going to get to see some football for the first time and only time.
It's Friday. If you don't have kids and you don't have anything going on, this is where you should be.
It's Friday again. Saturday, Sunday, what?
We were talking about this before. Keith is the guy you want to take for karaoke.
Yes, I believe it.
Need a
Me
few
too, but I
more
got to
of
drink a couple of them
these
things, man.
Unnamed alcoholic beverages. Feel free to sponsor us whenever you can. Before I do that,
I mean, look, you're a couple of beers away from me breaking into Delta Dawn out here, so we're ready. We're ready. We're locked in. It's football season. If you know our show, you know that there is no off season. We are a year-round podcast, the first and only Louisville football specific show in the city, covering the program from top to bottom. And so, of course, we're out here tonight getting ready for this game, getting ready to watch this team and the iteration of what we expect from 2025. And I'm excited. I know there's a lot of questions. I know that this team obviously had its blunders down the stretch. Stanford, some of the other matchups that ultimately didn't go their way. That they had 4 one-possession games last year. This is how you start to correct that. This is how you start to course correct and get yourself back on the path to winning an ACC championship, appearing in a college football playoff. You have a veteran quarterback. You've got 2 of the best running backs in the country and a defense that's going to be formidable. But moving on into the last position group, at least offensive defense, is the secondary. And guys, look, this is the group where when we talked about what the team needed to add more to post-spring, we talked about the secondary. They do bring in guys like Rodney Mack, Justin Agu. You have Aju. You've got Ronnie Johnson. You bring in Antonio Harris and some of the other guys through your freshman class, and we don't know what's going to happen with Tayon Holloway. That is one thing that's going to be certainly interesting to watch. I would assume that he will not be a part of this team, but you never know what will happen. So the cornerback room and safeties, you bring in JoJo Evans out of FIU, Corey Gordon, you need Blake Ruffin, D'Angelo Hutchinson, you need Dave McCullough, all these guys to step up. Vince, what do you think secondary-wise? What are you watching for tonight?
I'm looking at 2 specific guys. Mainly, they're local, but I think they could add very good value to the defense. Blake Ruffin, like you mentioned, Jacob, is coming off that knee injury. I'm anxious to see how he does moving around out there with the knee brace on, if he'll have it on, if he's in a leg sleeve.
play delay.
Well, you were supposed to stop that. That's on you.
You can blame Coach Petrino for that.
Coach Petrino.
Yeah. But I'm excited to see Blake. Man, after Thursday, I'm excited to see Jaden. I really am. I'm excited to see Jaden Meekins and his brains at the corner position. The kid is incredibly smart.
Yeah, look,
he might not be the kid that when he graduates and goes for a pro day, runs a 4.4 40 and kills it and is 4.25 and all that stuff. But he's a ball player.
Right.
He's one of those kids that is a ball player, and I think his brains can beat. He's right spot, right time.
Can he be Chris Hughes for the defense? That's all you need. That's all you need.
Can he be the captain in the back end? Is what I'm thinking. Can he communicate?
Strong.
Can he
Praise,
look and communicate stuff from one end all the way to the opposite end of the field? But can a kid? Because that's what it takes. If we're all playing cover, like I've always said on our show, if we're all playing cover 2, we're good because we're all in cover 2. Now they might have a cover 2 beater on, and we can't do anything about that. But we're all running the same coverage. If we're all running cover 3, it's the same. And kids like that who can communicate and get everyone on the same page are highly valuable at the collegiate level.
Yeah, I believe it.
On a less cerebral note, on the back end, I'm just excited to see Rodney Johnson v. Chris Bell. That's going to be so fun to watch.
That'll be a battle.
Just 2 big dudes in one-on-one matchup in coverage over and over and over. Because you know that, Rodney, guess what? You're going to get the big-ass Chris Bell. Yep. That's your assignment. All game.
But the thing about Rodney Johnson, he's built a lot like a guy. I don't know if y'all remember Brandon Browner. Played for the Seattle Seahawks, was a part of the Legion of Boom. was their, I might have that name slightly off, but that's pretty sure that's what his name is. Well, that's pretty sure that's his name. But he was a 6'3", 4-corner. He played with Richard Sherman and Cam Chancellor, and they were a group that was intimidated because that group, the Legion of Boom, was so like dominant because of their size, right? Like you had corners like Richard that were shit talkers and lockdown. Then you had corners like Brandon Brown that was 6'4". Then you had Cam Chancellor, who if you come over the middle, I'm literally going to watch you die on the field.
Cam Chancellor was the dude in high school. I would watch his highlights every day.
Yeah, Cam Chancellor was a popular name, but Vince, you're as a Dolphins fan, Sean Smith.
Yep, that's a good one.
Like 6'4", 230-pound cornerback.
Bingo. Those guys got me so excited about the potential size of a guy like Ronnie Johnson, and I think tonight, like, you need him to show he is CB1. Like we talked about QB1, show me CB1 tonight.
Yeah,
I need to see it that you're my guy that I can lock in, and I know that whether we're going up and we're playing, who's a ACC team with a top wide receiver?
Clemson.
Okay, Clemson.
They've got like 5.
I've lost track because all the guys that have been good over the last couple of years are one and done out of the ACC. But you need Ronnie Johnson to step up and be that guy, and then can Agu, can they step up? Can Antonio Harris get some snaps? There are, Jaden Meekins. Can these guys evolve? And then safeties. Look, JoJo Evans and Corey Gordon were brought here to be your 2 starters, to play the majority of the snaps. Of course, you want to see Blake Ruffin and Dave McCall, but those are the 2 guys. Can they be what you need them to be with a group of corners that are coming from mid-major football?
And that's like the guys that have been here have an extreme advantage, obviously, over these newcomers. And it's being able to communicate the defense not just once, but 3-4 times across the field.
Right.
Confidently say it, confidently know what you're running, turn around and go and execute it.
Especially tonight. Like we're not in fall, right?
No.
So like we're not experienced, but this is a good test again of what you've held on to. What have you absorbed? What are you applying to the field that you've learned through spring practice?
I'm excited to see a kid like Jaden Meekins, who they highlighted on Thursday, who was a kid who was on scout team last year. Probably knows the offense better than he knows the defense.
Yeah, right.
So, just think about the mental preparation that a kid like that had over somebody else who's just coming in and knowing how to play against Jeff Brown's offense.
Yeah, and look, I mean, in the ACC, it's not as if you have 17 good quarterbacks. It's not like every week you're going to face
DJU could even flip to the opposite side of the field.
And the quarterback play, in my opinion, has taken a step back in the conference. I think that's one thing you'll see this year is that it's just not a good conference for QB play.
Florida State signed the wrong quarterback?
Florida State, North Carolina, I mean NC State, Clemson's the only quarterback.
Is Thomas Castellanos really that much worse than DJU last year?
I think he's better than DJU.
Yeah, but I mean, is that
based off the running capability alone?
I'm derailing the conversation.
The question you
with
just
that.
asked
Miami
says everything
got a hell of a lot worse.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the question you just asked tells me everything I need to know about that situation. Is he that much better? Well, shit, Florida State's still not good. Okay, so let's not get that twisted. Pittsburgh, you got a quarterback coming off of injury. I think Louisville has arguably outside. I think Clemson has the best quarterback situation. Outside of Clemson, I think it's Louisville. I really do.
So you're not a believer in Kyron Drones?
No, I'm not a believer in Kyron Jones.
I agree with Jacob. I think we're in the best QB situation outside of Clemson, mainly because he's been there for 4 years.
He's proven. Oh well, he's got experience. Yeah. Not proven, but he's got experience. And I mean, look, the ACC. Consider it. It's not the Big Ten. It's not. You can come into the ACC and have more success than you could in the Big Ten.
Tyler Shuck would have been the best quarterback in the Big Ten last year.
I agree. I don't disagree with you. But still, you look across that conference, and it's not as if they're loaded, but top to bottom is much better than the ACC's top to bottom.
We're right next to the cabooses, putting this train back on track. Let's talk about Let's talk about the special teams.
Oh, Mark Ennis just rage left this stream so fast.
We don't have a kicker.
We do. A couple of guys whose names I don't know.
36.
You got a 90. You got a 98. He's the punter or kicker. What's his name? What's number 98's name?
Nick Keller.
No, that's not what I'm talking about.
36.
Sorry, 90. Adam. What is his last name? Adam Winkhofer, okay? He's a punter, though, so that doesn't help. Yeah, kicker game. We're looking at, look, bloodlines alone. Bloodlines alone. Let's get Mr. Vinatieri out there. Let's get Mr. Vinatieri out there.
Cooper Ranvier has been exceptional at the open spring practices.
Thanks.
So that's who my favorite for kicker one is, Cooper Ranvier. Nick Keller, maybe in that competition. They both have been going back and forth. I think I've seen more consistency from Ranvier. I've only gotten to watch 5 practices, though.
Well, I think
6, pardon me.
Thankfully, I feel really good about our punter situation. Carter Shorts is saving us from folks demanding money, so we feel good about that. And he's a Trinity guy, so we definitely feel good about that.
Great about that.
We feel good about our long snapper situation because Shai Porchev has been here now for 4 years. If you know anything...
Damn, that is a loud plane. That one is like 3 times louder than any of the other ones we've had.
If you know anything about the long snapper position, Louisville has had the steadiest hands at that position. You're talking about 4 guys over 15
for 4 years. Hoba for 5 years.
Oh, no, Hoba for 6 years, right?
No, Hoba's last year was my freshman.
And then Mitch Hall for 6.
Mitch Hall for 6.
You had Grant Donovan before that for 5.
Yep. I mean, just... The best thing about these guys is you never want to learn their last name unless they're making a tackle.
That's right.
You never want to know who the long snapper is. Punter, you just want to be able to confidently say, we got a guy.
Right. You want him to get the ball down the field.
I mean, that's one thing that you have to look at special teams at the same time just because it's part. All 3 phases matter.
It does.
They just do.
Look, I mean, they led the country last year in blocked kicks, blocked punts,
and
right?
Having somebody like Carl Maslowski's a fucking
I agree.
Maz has been amazing.
I agree.
And I know I talked about it on a episode right after the practice.
Yeah.
But he has been so maniacal and so perfectionist about how things go.
It's so fun. Like, that is typical Maz, where he's just like it's perfect. Like, it's perfect. Look, I would go as far to say we have one of the best.
My gosh, I'm pretty sure my butt fell off sitting on the seat, guys. My butt does not exist anymore.
Tell you what, I'm going to tap out for just a second because I need to go for reasons.
Do you have the keys?
You can take.
You
know what? I'll take the keys.
Give me the second mic. I'll go both mics.
Oh yeah.
Hey! Not gonna do that. All right. I'm gonna step out of here. Hold on. We're gonna figure it out. I'm gonna sit down though.
Well, what do you want to get to next, Jacob? We talked.
What tonight, as a guy that has done this a number of times as a player and coach, what's the most important thing to walk away with, like for Jeff Brum to feel good?
Just everybody execute well. I mean, I know that's hard to say because it's a little impossible because somebody's gonna have to have a better practice.
Sure.
But you just want to see execution and what you taught in the spring ran well. You're not putting anything crazy in. A lot of times you're putting the base offense in. So you just want to see it ran to almost perfection. You don't want to see any injuries. I think that's probably the number one thing for Jeff.
Yes.
Is
no
I
injuries
can walk away here and offense has a shitty practice, defense has a shitty practice, but everybody's healthy, that's a win right there.
I agree. I'm really excited for this game. Trying to get back here real quick to social. It's 5:26. We're going to probably check out of here in the next 5 minutes or so. Just looking to see if we had anything from the chat. I don't have YouTube pulled up, but let's see here. What do you want to see most from the spring game tonight? Just running through this from social. Kevin's art collection says accuracy and deep ball from Miller Moss. Would you agree that's important to you?
Yeah, 100%. That's something that they specifically, Jeff highlighted on Thursday whenever we were there. They do a drill that Jeff said he's never done anywhere until he was a head coach. And once he said that, I was like, wow, I think everybody should kind of be doing this drill. And it's a go ball drill. I mean, the quarterback is required to throw a go ball. It's one-on-one situation.
Yeah.
Just picture, them on the short side of the hash. One-on-one situation. I'm throwing this go ball. Defense is going to cover it absolutely perfectly. But once it gets to the point of attack, defense backs off, offense goes up and catches the ball.
Yeah.
So offense is working on proper technique on how to, because not every time you go up and catch the ball, it's going to be the same.
Yeah.
Guy might be inside, guy might be outside, guy might be right up on top of you. Same with the defense. You want to run that up until to perfection up until the point of attack on the ball. So I 100% agree with Kevin. That's something that I think we see a lot of tonight. And shit, I wouldn't be surprised if Jeff opened up with something like he did last year.
Yeah.
Right? So it's
you want to see that
right off the bat.
Who steps up as the 3 to 4 receiver besides Bell and Lacey? We talked about that earlier in the show. I think for me, the name that continues to ring loud above the rest is Antonio Meeks. He's a guy that came from Tuskegee College out of the D2 ranks. Had a great bowl game. Scored his first career touchdown at Louisville.
HBCU or D2?
It's D2, but it might be an HBCU as well.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it is because you have the Tuskegee is known for
the Airmen.
Yeah, the Airmen of Tuskegee. Yeah. So, but Antonio Meeks had a great career there. In his first 2 seasons comes to Louisville. He didn't play much until the end, but had the good bowl game with some of the guys sitting out. So you want to see him step up. I mentioned TJ McWilliams. That's the guy for me. Here's the question I have for the staff, okay? What do you know? What do you know about this guy? Because he had no stats. He didn't play. What do you know about him that I don't know? I want to see that tonight. I want you to show me who TJ McWilliams is. Maybe he's a guy that can be a Javian Hawkins or somebody that emerges out of nowhere, you know?
Best part about spring game, in my opinion, Jacob, I know we're done with the starters and everybody else. Guys like me, walk on.
Who's the walk-on? Who is the walk-on of the night? Yes. I have one. I got to get my roster out. Let me see your roster because I don't have mine. My walk-on has, he does not have his information listed. That is the true walk-on.
I have my info listed. Now, Rocco gave me an inch, which I appreciate, on height. So
here we go. Anderson Mitchell, defensive back, redshirt freshman. We don't know anything about him. He has no hometown listed, no high school. That's my walk-on to watch tonight. Anderson Mitchell, number 48.
From parts unknown.
But we still have Eli Adams, wide receiver. He had a catch late last year. I think he had one in the bowl game. We've got Shamai Gates, a running back out of Male High School. Shout out to our Male Bulldogs, Presley Meyer. He is one of the few walk-ons at that position. And then the other one that was mentioned earlier, I'm trying to go back and find him. He has been thrown out during spring camp. Jaden King is another wide receiver. He's not who I'm talking about. But we've got a lot of walk-ons from the roster who could potentially. Look at this. Look at this. We got guys showing up. I got a microphone in between my lap here. Presley Meyer in the building, ladies and gentlemen. What's up, bro?
Nothing much.
Keith,
been listening
back from the bathroom.
From the Pink Seats.
Oh, much needed.
That was unbelievable. I just
Vince,
the park
to the bathroom.
Keith,
where's
he?
Just hauling
Right up the
butt
street. Right up here. Well, we are
live show magic, baby.
We are closing up shop here because it's 5:30. We're going to need to report to duty in about 30 minutes.
Okay. You said duty.
I asked Vince this question. We had a lot of great responses from what they're most excited about. What are you most excited about tonight?
Most excited to see the offense and how well things are functioning on the offensive side of the ball.
Is there any position group in particular? I mean, obviously Miller Moss is the kind of the focal point, but we were just talking before you guys pulled up about, for me, the guy tonight is TJ McWilliams. Like, what does the staff know about him that I don't know?
Right.
You know, like, I want to see that tonight. Like, I know about the regular stuff. I need the guys that we're not going to play a lot through the season that can be the guy in a moment when it's 3rd and 10 and it's against a team late in the game and you need that play and TJ McWilliams makes that play.
There were some pickups in this class that I was curious about, right? Like if a guy, I mean, look, he only played. He was 1 year at Minnesota,
right? And he didn't have any stats, right?
We don't really know what happened in that situation, right? Like, okay, for instance, if think about all the freshmen that didn't play last year for Louisville. If one of those guys came to say, I don't know what, Miami, North Carolina, right? Like I'm just trying to think of
it's like Kenai Walker a couple years ago. You remember him? He was a 3-star corner, transferred and left for Arkansas or Oklahoma. That was Grady Vance. That was Grady Vance that left for Florida State. Yeah. But now Grady Vance, I remember the joke was he's moving closer to home, and now he plays for USC. That's the funniest part about that whole thing. But yeah, there's guys that we're not talking about, right?
Right. So I mean, I like a play like that. I want to see what some of the younger running backs look like outside of the two obvious studs that are on this roster. You know, like what kind of pieces do you have behind them? And then I want to see what the backup quarterbacks look like as well. Obviously Miller Moss was brought in to start, and I don't think that there's any question that day one he's going to be a starter. But, what if things take a turn for the worse? Right. What if Louisville's winning close games to start out the season and Miller Moss's play is not what you need it to be?
Right.
What if, God forbid, there's an injury, right? Like, who steps up behind him? I think I know what my answer is.
Yeah, I think the answer that you have is the answer that we all have.
Right.
And we honestly haven't talked about that enough tonight. Deuce Adams, you have Brady Allen that came back out of the portal. I think, look, I'm going to just call a spade a spade. I think my guy is looking for a new home and is going to try to use tonight as the leverage to get that new spot to go play. He's a former 4-star recruit. So you have Mason Mims, the freshman who comes in that played really well in the high school ranks. Can he be a guy that can be a serviceable third guy, fourth guy? So there's a lot of storylines.
Yeah, I mean,
this is where we this is our specialty right here. Like, who's the fourth-string quarterback?
This is you guys.
Sam Young's playing wide receiver tonight.
So there's really two things. I'll give you one on each side of the ball. Maybe we need a plane break here.
Yeah,
this segment is sponsored by UPS.
UPS.
What can Brown do for you?
So backup quarterback competition on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
We're not going to see a lot of Miller Moss tonight, right? Like they'll probably come out and just run some very bland basic stuff and just see where we are continuity wise, and then probably throw whoever the backup is in with the starters.
I think with Miller though, what they'll try, he won't play a ton, but what I think they'll do is they'll say, I have 9 throws, 9 plays. I want to see you draw that. I want to see you play this to perfection.
Right.
Whether it's 3rd and 10, you know, red zone, like it's situational. They're going to want to see him show 1 or 2 things tonight that they're like, okay, we've been working on this. He's got it.
Yeah, and look, I mean, you guys are going to be talking about this game for the next 100+ days.
Right. I mean, shit, this is getting us to fucking August.
I just want to point out this is a very important moment, right? So we want to make sure we get as much.
We need to spend the next 6 months overreacting to this.
Yes, exactly.
Is Chris Hughes the number 1? Did Deuce Adams do enough to make a controversy?
So that's the name I want to see, right? Like I want to see Deuce Adams. I want to see what he looks like. I think that's the next man up if something, God forbid, happens with Miller Moss. Then I want to see, what's going to happen on the back end. What's going to happen on the back end and the secondary. There's a lot of names that we don't know about, right? Like there's pieces that could have potential, but what does this all mean, right? Like what is a Rodney Johnson to Louisville? What is I'm trying to think of another name that you guys have already brought up today. Who's number 27? I can't think what his name is.
Well, we have a Fancy Pants printed out roster right here.
Fancy Pants rosters here.
Jacob did a great. Y'all don't get that at starting 502, do you? Y'all don't get printed out rosters.
We don't, and that's on me.
You only got to memorize 12 guys.
That's true. Yeah,
makes it a little easier.
JoJo Evans, right? Like that's the other guy I was thinking about. But yeah, just DB wise, what does that look like for Louisville? Because this feels like it's setting up for a very boomer bust type of season defensively for Louisville, where you could see some games where they're able to get pressure on the quarterback, and it doesn't matter what's going on the back end. But I don't know quite yet. I want to see what this talent looks like on the field, because there's a lot of guys coming up a level or two on the back end. I think that's the story of the game.
Yeah, and again, it's not televised anywhere, at least that I know of. So this is sort of almost last call. We're getting ready to go in ourselves. If you want to get out and you want to catch a spring game, live's the only way to do it.
Yes.
So free parking, free admission. Don't pay nothing. Just get out to the stadium and get in there if you want to make it out.
Based on traffic and what I'm seeing in the parking lot as people are pulling in, there's going to be a nice little turnout tonight. So weather's great, by the way, as the sun's peeking out.
It's really warmed up.
Beer inside?
Like sweater's going off as soon as I'm not on a camera anymore.
Are they selling beer here?
Yeah.
Well, they better be selling beer.
I was just
here.
wondering. It doesn't look like anything's open right now.
Well, this part of the stadium you're looking at is not going to be seated.
That's right. Got to remember where
So all the seating's going to be on the other side of the stadium.
This is Louisville. We sell beer at church here. So I think there will be beer.
A couple of players I want to shout out before we hop off here. Carter Gilliam has been stirring the shit pot so much at the spring practices. He's been such a menace on the interior.
Yeah.
He's been battling with Bruce Spencer and Selah
you gotta
Brown.
imagine he's an All-American last year. You want to come in and prove yourself.
See, I was going to go with that Louisville high school rivalry. Doesn't die easily. Like a couple of male guys. He's a St. X guy.
No. I mean, I remember being in the training room. I was getting my knee worked on one day. St. X and Mayo played that Friday. Who walks into the training room? Keon Wakefield.
Yeah.
What's he got on? His Mayo Letterman jacket with his state championship patch on, and he's rubbing it in my face. I can't do anything about it. I'm literally getting my knee worked on with the trainer. So, yes, I think the Louisville rivalry is definitely still play somewhat of a little factor whenever the guys go up against each other.
So I don't know if this is a joke or not, but somebody just responded, what do you most want to see in the spring game? Development of Pierce Clarkson. What do you think about that?
Ole Miss?
Yeah.
Why you ducking us, cowards?
Yeah.
Why you ducking us? They played Wazoo, right? You know, the power, I guess technically they're still P4, even though they're outside
Well,
of
Alan
it.
Thomas had the best tweet of the day with that whole knowledge that Jeff put out on the radio today with the tweet of Lane talking about, SEC, it's just different. You know, you got the NFL, and then you got the SEC, you got a couple Big Ten teams, and everybody else.
But so we'll get into this. I mean, I know you guys broke this down a little bit, but what is it about Louisville specifically that people don't want to play Louisville?
I think Keith has the best.
So we're in a unique spot as a program because we're a damn good team. And we're not one of the historical powerhouse like a Clemson or a Florida State where if you do lose to us, you're not going to get that benefit of the doubt like you would if you lost to a Florida State or a Clemson. So why risk it? Like, they're not a P2 team.
Same thought Kentucky's having right now with the whole conference realignment. Why schedule Louisville?
I'm assuming ATM and Georgia are having that same conversation. Like, hey, can we get someone to replace this game real quick? Because I'd really like a more surefire win than what we've got because we've got a damn good team here.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they need a more. My answer would be just in general that you need a more certain. You need a more certain win.
Marshawn!
We're calling out. Former players.
Marshawn!
We trying to get some people over here? Looks like we may be trying to get a couple of guests before hopping on. We're
Just trying to figure out who it is.
looks like they're trying to battle it out on if they want to bring it on or not.
I gotta open the beer cooler, guys.
Oh man! Oh
open
no!
beer cooler.
Oh
Right.
no! We gotta. You sure you don't want to just nab something from my sleeve so we don't have to? What's in the sleeve? I think it's just seltzers at this point.
Okay, that's fine. Well, keep going.
We have our camera very precariously perched at the moment, but
Final thoughts on scheduling.
Final thoughts on scheduling. I love that our coaches aren't afraid to go out and try to play anybody.
Yeah.
I love that we're posing the question to, this isn't a sponsored one, so we're posing the question to other teams, put so abruptly as, you pussy?
Yeah.
And Tennessee and Ole Miss allegedly said yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it's a shame.
Look, at the end of the day, Louisville is not a team that you're sure enough that you're going to beat. A team like Washington State probably is.
Exactly.
So, I mean, I think that's really the end of the conversation there, right? Like, SEC teams, they need a win to pad their resume. A loss to Louisville is not quite in the place yet where it would be like to a Clemson, or I'm trying to think of another.
Clemson, a Florida State, a Miami.
State, right. Like Florida State, even though they were
they had a
awful
terrible year
last
last year. They still have that name brand value that until they drag themselves through the mud, you're going to get the benefit of the doubt.
You think about the Florida State loss to Georgia Tech to start the season last year.
That was a huge win for Tech.
Huge win for Tech. But
then Florida State was 1-5.
One game, yeah. So, I mean, I think that's what it's all about, right? Like Louisville, with the exception of literally COVID season and the end of Petrino, they have been consistently a bowl team. They've been consistently solid enough that they could sneak up and give you a scare, and that could ultimately affect what the rest of your resume looks like at the end of the season. So, I'm excited to get into the game, though. I think the Cards are going to win.
Cards over the Cards, 35-33.
Yeah, I'm interested to see, early on, right? Like, you want to catch what happens early in the game before you start getting into, second, third, fourth string. And then Keith's like, I can't wait until the second half. So.
Exactly. So, folks, thank you all again for tuning in to a special little live spring game edition of From the Pink Seats podcast. On behalf of Vince Lococo, Jacob Lane, Presley Meyer hopping in. I'm producer Keith. Thank you all for tuning in. As always, go Cards.
We didn't even win anything.
We haven't even won anything. Yeah, right.
Are you just showing a free hit? Just gratuitous hit.
Oh, shit.